Some breaking news here. A verdict has been reached in the defamation trial brought by two Georgia poll workers, Shay Moss and Ruby Freeman, against Rudy Giuliani. Giuliani's been ordered to pay a staggering $148 million in damages. $148 million. And keep in mind, just days ago, Giuliani's own attorney told jurors that an award in the tens of millions of dollars will be the, quote, end of Mr. Giuliani. And clearly, the sob story didn't have much of an impact on the decision here. But what made this verdict even more inevitable is that this trial was merely to determine the amount of damages that Giuliani was to be ordered to pay. He'd already lost. It was a fact of the case that he defamed Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss. And yet, despite the fact that he was on ice so thin that a feather could break it, Giuliani still went out during that trial and said this.
Whatever happened to them, which is, it's unfortunate if other people overreacted, but everything I said about them is true.
Do you regret what you did to Ruby?
Of course
Freeman?
I don't regret it. I told the truth. They were engaged in changing votes.
There's no proof of that.
Oh, you're damn right there is. Stay tuned.
You've got to be a special level of delusion to know that you've already lost a defamation case and to decide that what you need to do before a judgment has even been handed down is to defame the plaintiffs even more. Masterful gambit, Rudy. Truly masterful. In fact, Rudy had displayed hostile behavior throughout the entirety of this trial, even to the dismay of the judge. Here's Glenn Kirshner explaining exactly that.
Judge Beryl Howell, who's presiding over this defamation hearing, trying to determine how much Rudy Giuliani should pay Shay Moss and Ruby Freeman for the horrific defamation he inflicted on them and all of the consequences, the fallout. And the testimony today was absolutely heart-wrenching about what these two women went through as a result of Rudy's defamatory lies. And Judge Beryl Howell went directly to this question about what Rudy Giuliani said the day before, telling Giuliani's lawyer, you understand, this could actually support another defamation charge or defamation case. And I'll tell you, Rudy Giuliani's lawyer was sort of between a rock and a hard place. And he actually said things about, Judge, he's 80 years old and I can't control everything he says. I think that is darn near a verbatim quote. But, Rudy Giuliani is combative in there. He's dismissive. He is insulting, even during the testimony of one of these women when she was breaking down and crying the accounts from the courtroom where he was just kind of callously sitting there, head on his hand, elbow on the table, occasionally taking notes, completely unmoved by the emotion that was going on in that courtroom.
And remember, this isn't even the only lawsuit that Giuliani's contending with. He's also being sued by Dominion Voting Systems, which last year settled with Fox News for an unprecedented $787 million. He's contending in the criminal RICO case in Georgia on charges of tampering with the state's election. And there's even reporting that he hasn't been able to pay his own attorneys for their work representing him in other cases. And of course, Giuliani can't even make money because he's contending with disciplinary actions and faces disbarment. You would think that amid all of that, he might be a little bit more careful about what he says in front of the cameras. And look, I don't want anyone to come away from this thinking that the reason we should be grateful for Giuliani suffering from such substantial damages is because he's a Republican or because he's Trump's attorney. The reason we should be grateful that justice was served is because he destroyed the lives of two women who were not only innocent, but who were doing their patriotic duty by volunteering to run our elections. They committed the crime of making sure our elections were run in a free and fair manner. That's it. But Giuliani, as the attorney for then the most powerful person in the world, decided to scapegoat them because he was that desperate to cry fraud to find a justification to undermine a presidential election for Donald Trump. He decided that destroying their lives was a price he was willing to have them pay. So I know I've shown this video before, but it is absolutely worth showing again.
Ms. Moss, can you describe what you experienced listening to former President Trump attack you and your mother in a call with the Georgia Secretary of State?
I felt horrible. I felt like it was all my fault. Like, if I would have never decided to be an elections worker, like, I could have done anything else, but that's what I decided to do. And now people are lying and spreading rumors and lies and attacking my mom. I'm her only child. Going to my grandmother's house. I'm her only grandchild. And my kid. It's just, I felt so bad. I just felt bad for my mom, and I felt horrible for picking this job and being the one that always wants to help and always there, and never missing not one election. I just felt like it was my fault for putting my family in this situation.
Well, it wasn't your fault. Your mother was kind enough to come speak with us earlier. Let's listen to her story in her words.
My name is Ruby Freeman. I've always believed that when God says that he'll make your name great, but this is not the way it was supposed to be. I could have never imagined the events that followed the presidential election 2020. For my entire professional life, I was Lady Ruby. My community in Georgia, where I was born and lived my whole life, knew me as Lady Ruby. I built my own business around that name, La Ruby's Unique Treasures, a pop-up shop catering to ladies with unique fashions. I wore a shirt that proudly proclaimed that I was, and I am, Lady Ruby. Actually, I had that shirt on. I had that shirt in every color. I wore that shirt on Election Day 2020. I haven't worn it since, and I'll never wear it again. Now I won't even introduce myself by my name anymore. I get nervous when I bump into someone I know in the grocery store who says my name. I'm worried about who's listening. I get nervous when I have to give my name for food orders. I'm always concerned of who's around me. I've lost my name, and I've lost my reputation. I've lost my sense of security, all because a group of people, starting with number 45 and his ally, Rudy Giuliani, decided to scapegoat me and my daughter, Shay, to push their own lies about how the presidential election was stolen.
So at the risk of feeling bad for Giuliani, who's now contending with a $148 million judgment, just remember that he knew exactly what he was doing. This guy was a U.S. attorney, of all people. He should know better. And yet still, with the backing of the world's biggest bully, he viewed these women as little more than collateral damage in his scheme to help a criminal president retain power. Financial ruin is the bare minimum that he deserves. So while I'm grateful that justice was served, I know with 100% certainty that these women would have preferred to live their lives free from the destruction that Giuliani wrought on them than to have this money. But because of these MAGA Republicans who view everything through the lens of consolidating power for themselves, Freeman and Moss won't ever get that opportunity back. Giuliani wanted to strip innocent women of their humanity. Now the jury made sure that he was stripped of his. Before you go, I need some help. Please subscribe to this channel and do your part to help grow the progressive media ecosystem. I don't do sponsorships or paid ads, I won't ask for money, but just subscribing to this channel goes a really long way, and it helps get the message out to more people. The subscribe button is right here on the screen. You can also subscribe to my Spanish language channel, which I made to reach those crucial Spanish-speaking voters. That link is on the screen too. And finally, if you want to listen to my audio podcast, you can follow that link as well. Thanks so much for watching.